So I have my board here with the long groove pointing in front of me, and to begin with I'm just going to put a little bit of white vegetable fat onto the board along where the groove is, and take my florist paste and just knead it for a moment. When that's nicely kneaded, place it at the bottom of the groove, dust with a little bit of corn flour, and this just helps to prevent it sticking. And then I'm going to roll the paste out along the full length of the groove. I'm not going to go too thin on this because I'm going to thin it further afterwards and actually try and widen the petals a little bit. So I've got my cutters here, and these are actually lily leaf cutters, so you don't necessarily have to have Ruscus cutters to do this, but anything that's this kind of almond shape is ideal. So I'm just going to cut out as many leaves as I can from this one strip. So I'll go for 2 of the larger size and 1 of the smaller. Just put the excess paste away into a sealable bag. And now I'm just going to put the wire into the leaves by dipping the end in a tiny bit of water. That just helps it to stick. And inserting the wire along the groove about halfway, and then just pinching the end to secure it. I'm going to repeat that with the other leaves. Now I'm just going to slightly widen them and thin the edges using my ball tool. So if you just dust with a little bit more corn flour, and then just try and pull the edges out a little bit to widen it. And if your cutter is a wider shape, then you wouldn't need to do this part. So you want to finish by concentrating on the edges and just making sure they're nice and thin. I'll do the same with the other 2. So when I'm making my leaves, I like to make sure that they're all a slightly different size. So this one's actually a slightly thinner bit of paste, which means it'll be smaller than the first leaf. And that's ideal because nothing is uniform in nature, so it's nice to have a bit of difference between the shape and size of the leaves. I like to work with around 3 to 5 leaves at a time. I find they don't get too dried out then, and it also means that it's quicker than just working with 1 by 1. So here I've got, this is actually an orchid veiner, but it's got these lines in it which are ideal for Ruscus. So if you've got any veiners that are similar, then use them, or you could skip this step if you didn't have the veiner and it would still have quite a realistic leaf. So I'm just going to put that into the middle. Give it a good press. And then I'm going to pinch the bottom just to give it a bit of a curve, and then do the same at the top. And then I have a foam pad here, and I'm going to lay the leaf on the foam pad upside down just to give it a bit of shape. I'll do exactly the same with the other two. So press it into the veiner. Give it a bit of a pinch at the bottom just to curve it round, and another pinch at the top, and then lay it upside down. And the same with the last one. Give it a pinch, then I'm going to lay it upside down on the foam pad. So with all my leaves and petals, I generally let them dry overnight. I've got a few that have already dried here, so you can see the shape. So with Ruscus I tend to go for this sort of curving out shape. And once they're dried, we'll then move on to dusting and assembling. So now that my leaves have dried overnight, they're ready for dusting. And Ruscus come in sort of different shades of green. It's normally sort of medium to dark green, so that's what I'm going to go for today. So I'm just going to take a little bit of my dust, and I like to work with a few different shades of green just to give it a bit of variation. And a little bit of yellow in there just to highlight too. Sort of yellowy brown. I'm dusting both the front and the back of the leaf. And then just dusting in a little bit of other colour just to highlight it. And I'll continue with the other leaves. Now that all of my leaves are dusted, I'm ready to wire them together. So I just got some florist tape here, and it's the narrower type. And I'm just going to start by just putting some tape on the stems. I find it quicker just to do this on all of the leaves first. You only need to do it at the end, which is going to be showing. Now that all of my leaves are dusted, I'm ready to assemble them. So I'm just going to take a length of my florist tape, and this is the narrower type. If you're using the full width, you can just cut it into half. And I'm just going to pull it to release the glue. And you want to start off with a smaller leaf. And just going to attach that onto the stem. And with Ruscus, there's normally just a little bit of stem showing before you add the next leaf. So I'm going to go for about that much. And then I'm just going to keep on taping down, alternating the leaves on each side, and they're gradually getting bigger as we go down the stem. So once you're happy that you've got enough leaves on there, you can just move them around to adjust the position however you like. And if you need a bit of extra wire for your assembly, then you can just add a little bit onto the end there. So this is now ready for spraying, or if you don't have a confectioner's spray, you could just steam them. Italian Ruscus tend to have quite a shiny finish to them, so my preferred method is just using a light bit of confectioner's spray.